Let's start with the Punch today. States lament deductions, demand probe subsidy rises to 8.2 billion naira daily. Lagos nurses kick against 20,000 naira demand for retirement celebration. Lassa fever kills 77 in Edo, Ondo, others, and 356 hospitalized. 250 investors lament as 20 billion naira agribusiness scheme promoted by Nollywood actors collapse. ICPC arraigned ex-presidential aide Obono Obla for certificate forgery. Evacuated destitute area boys to be kept for monitoring, says Ondo. Punch files FOI request of military, police salary structures, pensions. Experts differ, as Oshimajo says, exchange rate of artificially low. And work begins on 16.39 trillion naira budget. Senate panel gets document today. Let's start with the major headline.
Yes, can't find the picture, but I have the story. The government, the head of the commissioners of all the states, his name is David Olofo, mentioned the fact that the states are complaining concerning the dwindling allocation NNPC is remitting. So it's a follow-up to the story we took yesterday, where NNPC did not budget for 2022 to pay subsidy, but they didn't budget for 2021 too, and they are currently paying subsidy. And according to what the GMD said, it's a heavy load. They cannot lament. The commissioners, the head of the Council of Commissioners for all states in Nigeria is saying that they want to complain. The only person they can complain to and ask to probe the situation is the National Assembly, because currently Nigeria is spending 8 billion daily subsidizing fuel, and it is paid privately from NNPC, which means that NNPC is unable to remit the quantum they should. Prices of fuel have increased to, this crude oil has increased to $84 per barrel, and that should mean we are getting more revenue. But in May, nothing was remitted. In June, less was remitted, and it will continue to dwindle like that because of the subsidy gap is widening. So the states are complaining that they don't have resources because they don't have enough money coming from allocation. The Minister of Petroleum for Nigeria remains the president, and our president hasn't said anything concerning this. And I believe that there should be proper budgeting for fuel subsidy in 2022 and not leave it to NNPC to carry the burden they are not meant to.
Okay.
Yeah. The story of the investors. Yes. So over 250 investors, they say may have lost their savings because they invested with the Eat Rich Farms and Food Limited, Lagos State. I think a lot of us got some messages that they were sending to us about the investment gone bad. Said some people put in 2 million, 1 million, 500,000. They had different schemes. They had agriculture. They had fish farming. And one of the promises they gave to investors was that the businesses were insured with Leadway. Unfortunately, only one of the business was insured, which was the fish farming. But then they still carried on with the logo of Leadway, according to Leadway now, narrating the story and presented it on all other forms of the businesses. And so Leadway has come out to say that they are not involved in that. The only insurance that they have is on the fish farming. The person is, the offices have been locked in the different locations. I think there's one in Ikoyi locked. People are dying. There was a particular investor who needed money because she had cancer, wanted to get the money out, and the money was stuck. Nobody was able to get their money. The guy is running helter-skelter. They haven't seen him. They haven't heard from him. That's exactly. So but it was they used them actors, 2 actors. There's a Blessing, there's an Ademola who fronted for as ambassadors, and so people trusted the integrity of the actors. Those ones are still looking for the owner of the business to pay back.
It's actually very cheap. Do you know that insurance costs less than 6% to pay for insurance on every project you are doing? And I don't know why Nigerians wouldn't do this. Yeah. It's 6%.
The other question would be, was Leadway aware that they were using their
logo and didn't say anything
for the other businesses? I have a story, a funny story actually. So some nurses in Alimosho local government area are complaining about a 20,000 naira that has been forced upon them to be paid for the director of all heads of nurses. So she's the Apex Directorate of all the primary health centers in the Alimosho area. Her name is Kudurat Odunoye. She's supposed to be retiring, and she has asked all these nurses, they allegedly asked these nurses to contribute 20,000 naira towards her retirement, or else, and then she threatened them. Whoa. So many of them are saying they are so afraid. We know that, obviously, she's the head of nurses. their jobs may be
On the line.
How did this story make
at
front
stake.
page?
I don't
No,
get
it's
it.
important.
Yeah.
Because these nurses are saying, why would they force them to pay money? And also
it's
there's
for
a
self-help,
huge threat of being punished if they do not pay. Anyway, the lady herself was asked, she was like, I'm about to retire. Of course, there's a committee that is usually set up for occasions like this. I'm not a part of that committee, as you would, understand, because I'm the one that is retiring. I'm not the first or the last person that this committee would be set up for. So I have not asked anyone or threatened anybody. Committee head who says nobody has been threatened. We just asked them to,
who is lying?
Maybe the nurses
pay
don't want
money.
to pay.
But
So
the reason why I think it made headlines, sometimes it's good to just speak. The thing is, you cannot threaten people if
They can't
you're just
afford it.
asking people to make contributions.
But this, so we're working with civil service, I realize that this retirement thing is a big deal.
It is. So birthday
Every
income.
other day, there's somebody
Birthdays.
retiring, there's this party,
And they
there's this
served
big
for
deal.
like 25 to
30-something
30 years.
So I'm not sure exactly. I don't know why it made front page, because this should be an internal rank.
But they are complaining now.
Government to please intercede.
Yeah.
On
You
paper,
don't. Yeah. You don't.
on
You
the
don't
paper.
threaten them.
It's human interest. It's human.
There are levels of
You don't threaten them.
civil service. Let's move on to the nation. Somebody knows somebody in Punch that puts it up.
I knew you were going to go there.
The nation. Buhari lists achievements. World Bank, Nigeria, others low-income nations piled up 860 billion naira debts in 2020. Naira exchange should reflect market reality, says Osinbajo. And the governorship race for the forgotten, says Oni. Sit at home continues in Southeast. Police warned the hashtag #EndSARS protesters in Lagos and Osun. And why I stopped in the Witikano for burial, says Judge. Okay, Zoe.
Sit at home. The Southeast governors and leaders have resolved to end the sit at home, which usually happened every Monday. But it seemed like the residents are still afraid because this Monday, that was yesterday, the whole place was like a ghost town. Nobody was able to come out. Even the few people who tried to go to their offices, they found that the offices were locked, the shops were locked, but everywhere was really closed. And some of the residents are saying that they are not sure that there's enough security to protect them, and so they are not coming out. But we know that the Christian clerics had a meeting, and they had promised that they were going to engage IPOB. They had promised that they were going to ask the federal government to give them like an amnesty. They were going to resolve the conflict. So hopefully things will, begin to happen well in the Southeast, hopefully.
So there was a 2-day retreat that they had, the president had, where they have the story?
Yeah, I have the story.
Please go ahead, please.
So the secretary to the government, Boss Mustafa, has said that, during this 2-day retreat, as Maria mentioned, that the country has, that this particular administration in the past 2 years has been remarkable and productive. And he gave a list of some of the things that they have done between May 2019 and August 31st, 2021 that has made it remarkable. He said FEC held 52 meetings, 579 approvals were granted, 381 contracts were given, 110 policies were made, 88 briefs and notes were taken.
Like that,
No, I read it. I took the reports. When I finish, then you can add your own. Let me finish. Then, explained it how that in doing that, this 319 policies and everything, he said, with the introduction of ministerial mandates by the president, there's greater clarity of expectations of MDAs on deliverables of government achieve demonstrable results. Just saying that all these things he's mentioned, it's just government's way of showing that they are doing the best to meet the needs of Nigeria.
Okay, let me read the one I read. Okay. Because the same story I read that they said they have now started local productions of weapons so they can reduce cost of buying from abroad. It says they've had 13.3 billion naira for community policing. They said they've the second quarter 2021 GDP growth rate of 5%. They're saying that they've opened up the power sector with willing seller and willing buyers. I don't know what that means. The 75 billion naira Youth Innovation Fund. The infrastructure, they say they have an ongoing completed projects at Lagos Ibadan Rail Line, Itakpe Ajaokuta Rail Line, and the ones that are ongoing right now is Lagos Ibadan Road, Second Niger Bridge, upgrading of airports and extra. So
it's not that it's topical. That topic is different. The head of them is different. Because I'm checking. I just see.
Let's go on a break. You ever wanted to story in Nation? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I do. Please, quickly. Let me quickly take the story. the contest going on in, there's going to be election in Ekiti State. The former governor of Ekiti State, who was Chief Segun Oni, said yesterday that he's getting back into the race to recontest for governorship within Ondo State, and that his race is for the forgotten, So yes. Apparently he's appealing to those that have been forgotten in the state of Ondo. And maybe, who knows, he should communicate with them.
Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're moving on to Daily Sun. Osinbajo recommends devaluation of Naira. We're working on Nnamdi Kanu's release, says Ekwere Madu. 3 people's siblings feared killed as commercial vehicle runs over them. Pandora Papers, I have $15 million, not $500 million in offshore accounts. Buhari's second term, productive and remarkable, says SGF. I think that's the story that you took. Designate Enugu as oil-bearing state, says Guayin. And second Niger built Lagos about others to be completed by 2023, says Buhari. Okay, devaluation of Naira.
Major headline.
Major headline. Go ahead, please.
So the vice president, still talking during the midterm ministerial review, mentioned the fact that the policy framework the CBN is deploying is counterproductive, in that we cannot get inflow of dollar because of the difference between official rates and the market rate. You cannot be giving official rate of $411, 411 Naira, when the market rate is 565. People will not want to follow the official rates to bring in money. And that the CBN's intervention of $2, and I got $2 actually, I got $2 on that.
It's helping you, it's very good.
But the point is that you are getting dollar at 411. Most of my clients don't want to send money officially at 411. They rather use other means to send their money, where they will be getting at least close to 560 something. The difference is too much. It doesn't bring official cash flow of forex into the country. So the VP I support is saying that there should be
they should allow
the official rates and allow it to float, so that, and I know if you want to now do interventions
that means
for
devaluation,
MSME, not devaluation, official rates is already devalued. People are if you want to buy dollar right now, you're not a business owner. You are buying $500 and something. So some people are benefiting from these artificially low rates, and they are making a kill at the expense of our country. So the VP is saying, make it free. You will get more inflow, and we would have true representation of what the value we have is. And the CBN can be doing some policies while the Minister of Trade is doing some policies. That the person should flow through the Ministry of Trade and not CBN.
I like that if it works. But there's 3 school children were killed on Monday when a commercial vehicle ran over them. This happened in Ilesha, Osun State. Okay. According to the story, they said the children were on their way to school when this happened. And so residents were very upset. They blocked the roads. And, motorists had to find another way to get to their destination. The children have been taken to the hospital. I think they died. Investigations are ongoing on how they can resolve the issues. But as at the time of this report, their names were not given. We don't know about their families.
So there was a raid, according to the spokesperson of BIM Masob, saying that's the Biafra Independence movement, saying that they had broken into their office, saying naval personnel, according to the story. And they're saying that they carted away with many of their documents and 11 million naira, which were contributions of members. And they're using this opportunity to tell members of the public that they are not IPOB, they're different, and that they condemn the raiding of the organization's office in its entirety. Okay, is there any other story we haven't taken there? Let's move on now to Vanguard. Okay, we talked about the Naira devalue. That's experts kick as Osinbajo seeks play of market forces. Violence worsens with killings in Imo, Enugu, fear in Umuahia. APC moves to avert crisis, reconstitutes reconciliation committee. Grant amnesty to Kanu Igboho to end separatist agitations, Methodist pilot tells Buhari. NSAS police kick as Shiwere plans memorial protest. Seplat gets government support in energy transition bid. I wanted to read that story. Nigeria must decisively tackle debt challenges, says Adesina. And where Nigeria went wrong, says Asiodu. All right, which story are we taking here?
Want to go? Okay, so the president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, has asked the federal government to decisively resolve the nation's debt challenges to trigger economic growth. So it says the Debt Management Office in September gave the federal and state government debt to be 35.5 million at the end of the second quarter of 2021. He also says that the Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio was high, but the debt to GDP ratio is still moderate. You know, we have our finance minister almost saying the same thing. And he promised that our economy will survive if only the federal government will remove the structural bottlenecks that limits revenue earning potential of non-oil sectors. We talked about diversification. And, well, he didn't give the details of how that will work, but we should look into diversifying into other aspects of the economy. And they are also projecting that Nigeria's economic growth will rebound to 2.4% this year and reach 2.9% by 2021, based on two critical factors, which is access to vaccination. If we're able to get everybody vaccinated and also tackling our debt issues, we may be able to come out of desired inflation.
Let me add to that, because I took the story in another paper and just like a other side to it. So this is talking about the World Bank was saying that many low-income countries, including Nigeria, have piled up a debt of 860 billion because of the pandemic. It says a lot of countries, as a result of the pandemic, they pumped in a lot of money into health emergency measures and packages, you know, stimulus packages to help during that period. And many of the countries who are already vulnerable, Nigeria inclusive, just, you know, further went deeper into debt. And it's saying that, so the World Bank is saying that it's important that a comprehensive approach to the debt problem is done, because this will bring about swifter restructuring and improved transparency, and that sustainable debt levels are vital for economic recovery and poverty reduction. So even though, you know, so this makes the point of the president of the Federal African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, even though, you know, the GDP ratio, the debt to the GDP ratio looks good, tolerable, the debt burden is quite high and would affect, you know, it will cause poverty and affect all further investments coming into our country.
We're a low-income country.
Before, since when? You didn't
why
know?
Were we not?
We have always been. Now we're deceiving ourselves all along.
The prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Samuel Chukwuemeka Kanu Uche, advised the president to grant amnesty to detained IPOB leader and Sunday Igboho. And he's also saying that if the public pay some of these 25,000 naira stipends to some of these Boko Haram repentants, that might begin to take them off poverty. And it's also asking that maybe it's time for us to listen to Sheikh Gumi, because remember, initially everybody was criticizing Sheikh Gumi. But he's saying that, listen, maybe this man has some kind of a link and he has their listening ears. So maybe we should engage him to talk to these bandits, because obviously we are at the point where we must dialogue with these people, and the offensive might not be the right approach anymore. So he's also asking that the government should begin to have engagement with Sheikh Gumi, who can then help us see how we can get the Boko Haram repentance people to reconcile back into the society.
Follow up with that, there's a lot of mayhem happening in the southeast. It's a violence worsened with killings in Imo, Enugu, and panic in Umaya. Apparently, government attacked a police station, adopted a female cop. Imo indigenous military officer killed in Izobe clash. Actually, villagers in Imo, in a particular village in Imo State, called on the military officer to come and rescue them, and the person that they wanted to rescue from resisted arrest. They ended up killing the military man, who is an indigene of that state. There's a lot of violence going on everywhere. So I think if I would support the carrot and stick approach, like we must use stick, but at least also listen to how we can resolve the issues, because we're losing lives that are avoidable to these challenges.
We have to wrap up right now, the front page review. That's all we can take. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.